What'd you think of William Barr, the Attorney General, this morning?
You know, I was disappointed. Look, I think that I'm glad the report is largely unredacted. It gives us enough information to have this discussion we're having now. But I felt that he was trying to be a cheerleader for the president. And I think that's ill-advised for the president himself. This report speaks for itself. But when he's getting up there and he's making comments that are, you know, he was emotionally upset, well, boy, that bothered me, Shep. And I know your audience may get agitated, but it bothered me, and I'll tell you why. The president never availed himself to be interviewed to express that. And the answers that he gave to the questions and the interrogatories, is clear in the report, was wholly incomplete. I don't remember, I don't recall, I don't know. And when they want more specific answers to those questions, he wouldn't give them. So where is the Attorney General coming up with what the emotional temperature was? It was just a gratuitous comment, not a lawyerly one.
If the goal is to control the narrative, though the Attorney General is supposed to work for the people, not the president. In this case, if you're the president and the attempt is to control the narrative, in other words, to tell people, here's what it's going to say before it gets out there, all 448 pages. If I'm the president, I'm real happy with what William Barr did this morning.
Yeah, but you know,
but if I'm one seeking the truth about what's in this report, in many cases, we were deceived.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of statements there that were clearly cheerleading for the president, and I think that wasn't good for anybody, including the president.
Specifically, he said that the president fully cooperated.
Right.
Where the president was openly trying to keep people from cooperating and openly trying to keep his own testimony from them. That is not full cooperation by anyone's definition.
Yeah, that was surprising, especially given the number of instances that they talked about with respect to the obstruction charge of the things that were being done after the firing of Comey, up to and including trying to get Don McGahn to fire the special counsel, which he refused to do, and all of the witnesses that he was trying to, you know, when he was supporting Manafort, when he was supporting, you know, Cohen at the time, trying to dangle out things there in public view in order to embolden them, including pardons.
This is Fox News' Shep Smith breaking down what ended up being a blatantly misleading press conference today from Trump's Attorney General ahead of the imminent release of the Mueller report. And while he covers a lot of ground, he systematically dismantles Barr's principal argument against Trump obstructing justice. Basically, Barr says that Trump wasn't obstructing justice because of any criminal intent, that he was just reacting to pressure from his political opponents.
President Trump faced an unprecedented situation. As he entered into office and sought to perform his responsibilities as president, federal agents and prosecutors were scrutinizing his conduct before and after taking office and the conduct of some of his associates. At the same time, there was relentless speculation in the news media about the president's personal culpability. Yet, as he said from the beginning, there was, in fact, no collusion. And as the special counsel's report acknowledges, there is substantial evidence to show that the president was frustrated and angered by his sincere belief that the investigation was undermining his presidency, propelled by his political opponents, and fueled by illegal leaks.
But if Trump was so upset, if he felt that he wasn't being represented, that he was under all of this undue political pressure with no ability to defend himself or his position, why didn't he simply sit down for an interview, tell his side of the story, and get due process? But he refused to do so, and we can guess rather easily why that would be. That said, don't just take it from us. Listen to what Trump himself says about refusing to speak, about pleading the Fifth.
You see, the mob takes the Fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
But as we already know, Barr's press conference was never a legitimate excuse for Trump's actions. Again, that he was simply reacting to pressure from his political opponents, mostly because that excuse is ridiculous. Regardless of Trump's motive, the intent was clear: to obstruct justice. And as the Mueller report shows, there are a staggering 10 instances where Trump may have done so. But again, the facts don't matter to Barr, because that press conference showed that he was only interested in corrupting his role as Attorney General to protect Trump. And Shep Smith admits that the whole goal of Barr's Circus Act was to control the narrative, but he did so by blatantly lying to the American people. It's almost as if he didn't think anyone would actually read the report, that all he would have to do is make up some sycophantic comments at a podium and we take everything at face value. But if this administration has taught us anything at all, it's not to take anything this administration says at face value. So no, lying through his teeth about easily debunkable information is not winning the news cycle. It's the opposite. It's destroying what modicum of credibility this administration or Bill Barr might have been holding on to. And it cast into doubt instantly every word of the 4-page summary that Republicans pointed to as some great vindicator, as if it was actually written by a neutral arbiter. And that's become clear with the release of the actual report. Right off the bat, Barr's credibility was destroyed when he said that, quote, Special Counsel Mueller did not indicate his purpose was to leave the decision to Congress. But the actual words of the Mueller report read, the conclusion that Congress may apply the obstruction laws to the president's corrupt exercise of the powers of office accords with our constitutional system of checks and balances and the principle that no person is above the law. In other words, it was up to Congress, not the Attorney General, to decide what to make of the information contained in the report regarding obstruction of justice. So while it was very proactive of Bill Barr to take it upon himself to declare unilaterally that Trump is 100% in the clear, we can all go home now, that's not even close to what Mueller intended. So for those who thought that Barr was capable of representing the best interests of the American people, as opposed to twisting the truth into knots to protect Trump, I have bad news for you.
We were deceived.